And the Senate, in a surprise move last night, passing the application deadline extension for Paycheck Protection loans by unanimous consent. This, of course, as businesses continue to struggle nationwide and economic reopenings are actually being rolled back due to the spike in COVID cases. With me now, Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. Senator, it's very good to have you with us. President Trump just gave an interview to Blake Berman of the Fox Business Network, and he talked about masks. Take a listen to this.
I'm all for masks. I think masks are good. I would wear, if I were in a group of people and I was close.
You would wear one?
Oh, I would. Oh, I have. I mean, people have seen me wearing one. If I'm in a group of people where we're not, 10 feet away, but usually I'm not in that position, and everyone's tested. Because I'm the president, they get tested before they see me. But if I were in a tight situation with people, I would absolutely.
Do you think the public will see that at some point?
I mean, I'd have no problem. Actually, I had a mask on. I sort of liked the way I looked.
Senator, you are encouraging the president to talk a little bit more about masks. Is that more of the message that you think will help the nation recover in terms of economic recovery and getting people to wear more masks, but also maybe even help his candidacy going into this re-election effort?
Yeah, I think it's helpful. Look, we've all been told the single easiest thing we can do as we reopen the economy with the coronavirus still very much out there is to protect ourselves and others by wearing a mask. We've been doing that in the Senate here. We've been in session most of the time since May. For example, in June, the House was in session 3 days. We were here the whole month. They've been in 8 days since March. We were here all of May, all of June. And we've been working, Dana, safely by wearing masks, by distancing ourselves at least 6 feet apart. So this is the way to deal with the continuing coronavirus until we get a vaccine. It's going to be with us. We know that. But we don't want to shut the economy down again, and so we need to wear a mask. And so I'm glad the president said what he said.
Yeah, that was it was a different take from him, although maybe a little bit more emphatic. And of course, when he has a light touch of humor, that always helps a little bit to land that message. He also said something else, that he would veto the Defense Authorization Act. This is what would fund the troops, because there is a provision that would allow for the changing of names of military bases named after Confederate soldiers or generals from back in the days of the Civil War. How would you change the bill to be able to get it to the president without a veto?
Well, I would hope the president really wouldn't veto the bill over this issue. There's in the bill a requirement, I think, of a 3-year study about changing the names. To me, this is quite different from trying to airbrush the capital of every statue. The way the statues in the Capitol work, each state picks 2. You can trade them out at any time, and some states are doing that as we speak. But I hope the president would reconsider vetoing the entire defense bill, which includes pay raises for our troops, over a provision in there that could lead to changing the names of some of these military bases.
Do you think that you would have a chance to talk with him about that? And also, you've talked about the possibility of additional monies and liability protection for businesses going forward when it comes to dealing with the pandemic. Is that in the cards? Can the Congress get that done? I know you had a big June and you got a lot of stuff done, but when it comes to looking forward for businesses in July or August, is that possible?
Yeah, after we passed in the Senate the CARES Act and then a follow-on to the CARES Act back in March. I said at the time we'll need to take a snapshot of where the country is in July, see what kind of progress is being made by reopening the country, get an assessment of what did or didn't work in the CARES Act, and then make a decision about whether to do phase 4. We may well do that, and if we do it, we'll do it in July. And I can tell you for sure that if we do another bill, it will have liability protections in it for doctors, for hospitals, for nurses, for businesses, for universities, for colleges. Nobody knew how to deal with the coronavirus, and unless you were grossly negligent or intentionally engaged in harming somebody, you're going to be immunized from the epidemic of lawsuits that's already developing surrounding the pandemic.
And Senator, are you do you believe that police reform is dead for the rest of this year for this Congress?
Well, I hope not. As you, I'm sure, reported last week, Senate Democrats would not even allow us to get on the bill written by our colleague, Senator Tim Scott from South Carolina, who himself, as an African American, has experienced the kind of overreach, you might say, that some police engage in by stopping people simply because of their color. It was a solid bill. Supported also by law enforcement because it was not designed to go after them indiscriminately. And the Democrats wouldn't let us take it up. I think the conclusion I drew from that, Dana, was I'm not sure they want a bill. I think they want an issue.
An issue. I only have time for one quick last question. We finally know that your opponent in Kentucky for this year's Senate race will be Amy McGrath. Are you looking forward to the campaign?
I'm ready for the campaign. She's going to be quite well funded, and it'll be a spirited race right to the end.
All right. We'll be watching, Senator. Senator Mitch
Okay,
McConnell,
Dana.
thanks for joining us.